What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp. This is Fightful Wrestling for March 2nd, 2022. This is our AEW Dynamite review. Boy, I'm going to have plenty of plugs tonight. Don't you worry. I'll tell you what's going on as it's appropriate. We got Alex Pawlowski here with us. Robert is on news writing duty right now because we kind of anticipated this one was going to be a big one. We're going to need all hands on deck, so we thank Robert for doing that for a while. We got Alex Pawlowski here. Alex, is honor real?
Honor is real. Honor is back, baby.
Oh God,
I'm very intrigued by all of the possible implications of this giant announcement, like many of which we don't know about now, but can speculate on as much as you feel like you're willing to.
My God. So guys, before we get into everything, leave us a thumbs up. We would greatly appreciate it. Please donate a super chat or a humper chat. If you're in the chat asking questions, you get them answered by donating a super chat below on youtube.com/Fightful. Or if you check out the show not live, or you just want us to keep a little bit more of that money, you want us to pay a little bit more attention, Humper Chats at humperchats.com. Again, if you listen to this show after the fact and you want to leave your question or statement before the show, Humper Chats has made that possible. Also, I'm doing a live Q&A at some point this week. I just don't know when. I'm doing a live Q&A on FightfulSelect.com. That's where we break all kinds of news, including news last night that there was a new suitor to buy Ring of Honor Wrestling. I'll tell you guys more about how that went down as the show goes on. But I've got a big report on Tony Khan buying Ring of Honor at FightfulSelect.com. I started to really hear the mentioning going on last night. It's just bananas. And we're going to be talking about this through the entire show. So please check them out. Of course, support our sponsors, athleticgreens.com/Fightful and NordVPN.com/Fightful. We would greatly appreciate it. So let's get right into it. Tony Khan comes out to the ring. He's amped up. He's hyped up. He's ready. Now, by the way, I have that same Dennis Rodman figure that you have.
Oh, good.
It's like 10 feet away from me. But he comes out. He's pumped. And just the long and short of it, he says, AEW started 3 years ago, but for 17 years before that, there was another company, Ring of Honor. And I've purchased Ring of Honor. And he said, Shane's not coming. There is no Shane. I love that. That was amazing. Ricardo says ROH is now all elite. This is going to be by far the most talked about subject on an awesome episode of Dynamite.
On a loaded show. Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody's speculating the Cody thing. Speculate away. Send us super chats and humper chats. I'll do my best to answer it. So Alex, last night on FightfulSelect.com, subscribe today, I had noted that I had been told there was a new suitor in play. A new challenger has arrived, so to speak. I didn't know if that was the Tony Khan announcement. One person outright told me it wasn't going to be that works there, and it didn't end up being right, but holy cow, Alex. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I just love how excited Tony Khan is to be able to be in the position to do this. Like he is first and foremost a wrestling fan who has the money to be able to like if you said to a wrestling fan a few years ago, you have all the money in the world and you could do whatever to start a promotion. I'm going to start one from the ground up. I'm going to get all the guys the WWE releases. I'm going to bring them here. I'm going to pay them as much money as they want. And then I'm going to buy Ring of Honor and like all this stuff. And like, he's just so excited about it. I love, like, it's infectious. It just feels very real. I love that there's not a lot of polish in his presentation. Like he's just out there in an untucked dress shirt. Like he's just so excited with his crazy curly mop of hair. I thought this was all great, but like he said, I bought Ring of Honor, but he stops there. And the thing about I love him stopping there is it allows all of us on the internet to be like, well, he sends out the press release, which makes sure he includes we bought the tape library, which is a big deal.
Yes.
But it doesn't say like we're going to start it as a sister promotion where we're going to also run it with, we're going to send some of our guys over there and they're going to wrestle here.
It's ambiguous.
It's very ambiguous. He doesn't say we're starting a new streaming service with all this stuff with ours and theirs. He doesn't say any of that stuff. All of that could be implied, but we don't know yet. It's so much fun to be like, okay, well, what does this mean though? And the answer is it could be anything and everything, and very little of it seems like it could be bad. Like it's all really good stuff. And I just love the idea that there's the possibility for so much good to come out of this move. Because ROH, when it died, it felt like it had been dying for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And now there's the possibility of a resurgence of it with some people behind it who just goddamn love wrestling. That's so great about it.
There has been no buzz for ROH since the MSG show.
Yep.
It's like when Enzo and Cass showed up, womp. And you know what? I every indication I've heard is that Morrissey's been great in Impact.
Yeah.
And I've always heard that Enzo has been great to deal with on the indie circuit. So, I mean, that's not a condemnation on them. That's just the matter of fact. That's when a lot of stuff went downhill for them. It was just like a mark point. Like this is when it happened, not necessarily tangible to them. But so I'm going to read this press release. We have a million super chats and humper chats. This is going to take up quite a bit of the show. 2 people on the show. We're still probably going the normal time. It says, Tony Khan announces agreement to acquire Ring of Honor. Moments ago on Dynamite Live on TBS, it was announced that Tony Khan has agreed to acquire the assets of ROH Wrestling Entertainment, LLC from Sinclair Broadcast Group, including the promotion's extensive video library dating back to 2002, brand assets, intellectual property, production equipment, and more. Known widely as the independent promotion that birthed some of wrestling's biggest stars today, including AEW CM Punk and Bryan Danielson, and highlighted dozens of members of the roster, the ROH purchase signifies a new chapter in the future of professional wrestling as AEW's meteoric rise continues to draw the youngest skewing audience on television. Now, it does have a quote from Tony Khan where he talks about adding thousands of hours of content to their growing library, creating new opportunities to expand their footprint on a national and global scale, and having the potential to produce new content under the ROH banner. He says that he will immediately begin exploring opportunities to make ROH's video library available to fans who will have the opportunity to witness the beginnings of their careers of some of AEW's biggest stars. It also features a quote from Joe Koff. Now, I heard from one person who was set to appear on Supercard of Honor that they heard recently that, hey, another offer came in and Joe Koff wants them to go that direction. Holy cow. We've got a whole lot more on Fightful Select, not to upsell you guys over there, but it's so much to approach. Like, I've heard price tags all over the map dating back to offers that came out 2 years ago. And the thing is, the company was worth significantly less 2 years ago than it was 4 years ago when you had Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Cody, and all these guys rolling through there. This sounds wonderful. This sounds like a blast. Now, Jambeard says, how big is this comparison to when WWE bought WCW? Would you say it's equal? No, I would not say it's anywhere near equal. WCW still had a significant cable TV footprint. However, Alex, there is a lot we don't know. Yeah. We can look back at WCW and say, well, it didn't come with TV time. It came with an amazing tape library. However, we don't know what this deal includes. Will they have immediate use of the Honor Club streaming service? Will they be able to say, this is now AEW All Elite service? Will they have the Sinclair time slots? That syndication would be really, really big for them. There's a lot of questions here that we don't have the answers to yet. I can tell you that there have been multiple offers on Ring of Honor over the past couple years. And by the looks of Zach Schimmel's super chat, he could have bought it. He sent a monster one. Big thank you, Zach. We love you, man. You're always doing great stuff for us. Hunt him down on Twitch, guys. He says, tonight was amazing and insane. ROH being owned by AEW deserves a huge bomb to be dropped for it. Well, thank you for dropping that bomb. He says, everyone go to Fightful Select and subscribe. The content's worth it. Seeing the old Raw team back together is great. And Alex is happy on Wednesdays. I love AEW as it makes me a happy wrestling fan. Support Fightful. Well, we still love having Robert on, but we'd asked him to focus a little bit more on the writing, and he was happy to do it. So he's very valuable there, of course, and we love having him on the show. But ROH, man, it's got more buzz now than it's had since those guys left. When those guys left, you had to believe, like, oh, shit. Like, they were the company that got affected the most by all this.
Yeah. The other thing about this is that having the rights to the ROH library and then adding to it this continuous stream every week, hours and hours of AEW programming that you add to it all the time. Eventually, that library is going to get so tantalizing to somebody. Somebody's going to pick it up as a streaming service if it's not HBO Max trying to add it as well. Like there's so much content there. Streaming services need content, and there's so much there available to them. I'm really excited to see what producing new content on ROH might be. I see a lot of there's going to be like their developmental, and I think that would be a really good use for it. But also, there are a bunch of people who are at that upper mid-card level in AEW that seem to have reached a ceiling, at least for now, in that spot, and they can't get the amount of requisite TV time that they feel like they should have in AEW proper. But if ROH, they could go over there and be the champions for a while and run things and help those young guys learn and get better. And then you could cycle people in and out of ROH and AEW. So everything feels fresh and nobody has to be off TV while they're off TV. They're actually doing something elsewhere. What I thought would have been great with the Impact partnership, where you could send guys to Impact and they could do a storyline on Impact and then they could come back after the storyline had wrapped. You could do that with ROH, but the thing is, it's not Impact. It's your own company. It's just a different company. It's great.
So on Fightful Select, I posted, there's a wrinkle to this, Alex. The Ring of Honor Women's Champion is an Impact wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
She is an Impact wrestler. Like, that's just, holy cow, man. Now, we have Luis sort of grouping the massive amounts of super chats and humper chats on this. We are going to be going back and forth to this. So it doesn't mean that we have skipped your comment or anything like that, I promise. We will get to all of them. This is going to be a wild night. We're going to be here a while. Mark Losper says, 2-man power trip lineup today. Let's go. It's just weird because we're talking about good stuff.
Yeah.
Like, not since the days of Braun Strowman throwing Roman Reigns off a loading dock.
That's true. It's very true.
Oh, my God. Chris says, where are the Briscoes? Why aren't they doing FTR stuff in AEW now that AEW owns ROH? Well, I mean, that just happened. But I have heard a lot of stuff about the Briscoes and AEW and maybe sort of the ups and downs. I'm working on getting some details together. I was legitimately publishing a story tomorrow, but I can't now. Like, this story, like, there's too much to this story to responsibly run that story. ShotKid29 says, this confirms we need a full rec spec show. Listen, stop calling it rec spec. Reckless speculation is much more fun. And he said it has to be called rec spec because you're 2 for 2. So today on Reckless Speculation, I told Jimmy that straight up, I got a text message last night saying Tony Khan bought ROH. Now, I do those shows so I can be like, hey, plausible deniability. I'll take all the credit, though. Please give me that. But I wasn't able to confirm that until like 2 or 3 minutes before this show went on the air. And I was trying to type up that report as fast as I could. I see Tony Khan's hyper ass in the ring, and I went, no, he's taking off the show. So I couldn't get it out in time. But you guys just know I was trying to get that Fightful Select report out. We had a member chat that thanked me for doing a cameo. Guys, I'm available on Cameo now. 100% of the proceeds normally go to animal shelters in my area. For the month of March, they will go towards Ukrainian relief efforts. Jimmy Van is going to match all of those. And some of you might say, well, what the hell would I possibly want a cameo for you for? Well, I've had people have me break their news. I've had them do eFed promos, breaking news for those, ticket reveals. They'll do Q&As. I had one person ask me to do the Come Tuesday promo. That was fun. But the eFed stuff has been coming in fast and furious. So I help out a good cause. Again, 100% of the proceeds of my cameo will always go to a charitable cause. So check that out. Beer What says, big announcement, big show. Thank you for the post show. That's A-Train, not Big Show. Get it right, guys.
Yeah.
Man says, Alex, what was Tony D's reaction to the ROH news?
Listen, if there's one thing I know all about, it's honor. As well as rings. I wear several Pinky rings at one time because it's a fashion statement. But listen, there is nothing if not honor in putting a man's feet in cement and dropping him off the end of a dock. I would love to be involved in this Ring of Honor. Were to be something that I would run afoul of a certain person who might be in charge of the NXT brand and might want to cut me loose. Well, via con Dios, I think I'll go over there and be honorable if it's still going at the time. Maybe.
So, also, did you see Tony D's alleged combine stats?
No, I did not.
He was like second in like bench to Braun Breaker.
He's got some heft up in his upper body, man.
There you go. Guys, so I'm going to get to these super chats and humper chats sort of by segment in between each match type of thing. One of them seems to make a lot of sense, and people keep bringing it up. I reported last week that Brian Cage's contract was extended. Tom says, what a show. Brian Cage to ROH now. Mike says, guess picking up that option makes sense. Amir says, is that why people like Brian Cage got renewed? Zero Fear says, any news to the Fire that it'll be used as a developmental territory. Then we got Colt and Flowman saying Regal to ROH. To me, that makes 1,000,000% sense. When we talk about those two names, Brian Cage, William Regal, yes, to me, 1,000,000%, it makes sense for Tony Khan to be like, listen, you don't factor into our plans here, but over in ROH, if I do something, there you go. There you go. Yeah. William Regal, there has never been a better fit for an authority figure.
Yeah.
Unless it's Danhausen.
Unless it's Danhausen. Number two, though. Number two, yes. A strong number two, William Regal.
Yeah. Yes. L Milkman said that Tony reminded him of an excited Mr. Bean. Yeah, you know what? Yeah. But we've got people asking if Cody's leading an ROH invasion into AEW and all the Cody speculation. This is something that people are cooking up on their own. Now, I will say, the person who said Tony's buying it, they gave me some info that was pretty accurate, but they believe that Cody will eventually lead that as well. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It seems like, you want to follow in the footsteps of Dusty?
Like just saying, okay, well, ROH, two people of a certain age and fandom. ROH is the Holy Grail. Like people who remember the times of Punk and Joe and Danielson running that place, and then Steen and Generico. Like that is a place that have a certain fondness for. To bring it back to prominence as the absolute figurehead who's running everything, and to actually, like, if Tony Khan were to say, I'm buying ROH and I'm putting you in charge of it, you're going to be out of my hair over here, but I trust you as a wrestling mind to be in charge of this. Or maybe he goes and sits down over in WWE and they're like, yeah, we think we might
do something with you down the line, but we want you to re-debut as Stardust. It'll be hilarious. Like, who knows if that's not the pitch he got? You know what I mean? And when you look at those two things, if I'm Cody Rhodes, I mean, how much money is so much money that one thing where you don't know if you can trust those people over there or over here where you might get to completely run ROH? I'm saying, if that's the deal, I mean, I know which one I would choose.
Sure. Brian says, how long has it been since Vince bought WCW and ECW? 21 years. 21 years this month, actually, is when those assets.
I remember watching that episode live, and it broke my brain. Like, it was just so crazy. I wasn't following any of the dirt sheets at the time.
Yeah.
I was just watching wrestling as a fan.
Me too.
And when Vince showed up on WCW, I was like, wait, what's happening? What's happening? Then Shane's like, this contract does say McMahon, but it says Shane McMahon. I was like, what is happening? Like, it was just the craziest thing ever.
Mark says, now that I've taken you off mute, I can ask, do ROH have any interesting trademarks AEW would want? Yeah, ROH.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
That's a big one.
Now, I know a lot of people were under the impression that All In was a trademark owned by ROH. It wasn't. AEW does own the All In trademark. They just didn't own the footage of the first show. Now, obviously, you got to edit Joey Ryan the fuck out of that show.
Yeah.
Which there's gonna be a complete absence of penis druids on that show. Like,
I mean, some things,
yeah,
good changes and bad changes. Yeah.
Yes. Ivan says, want to be happy about TK owning ROH, but worried he'll just take the library for a streaming service and fold ROH. Possible, or am I skeptical? It's possible. I think anything's possible.
I think it is possible. I don't think he would have announced, I am buying Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
So that I can just take the tape library and then fold the whole thing. I feel like he wouldn't do that, but maybe I'm wrong.
So people keep saying, oh, they'll edit out Marty. I doubt they'll edit out Marty. He was in a match with Okada.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously abhorrent shit that he did, but I think they would probably keep that. I mean, damn, that match was a quarter of the show. That's why everything went short. My God.
Yes.
What does this do to Honor No More and Impact? Nothing. Not a thing. They can still be called Honor No More.
Yeah, sure.
Most of them are signed to deals, as far as I know. Raphael says, looking back, that Joey Ryan segment was some ish. I mean, the penis druids are funny as hell. It's just Joey Ryan's a trash person.
Yeah.
Like, penises are funny, but like, come on. We want them to be consensual penises. Like, that's what's important. Consensual, legal penises.
Consensual, legal penises. That's the very important thing.
James Tyler says, with the purchase of ROH, that AEW video game is going to be sweet. Yes, they get the assets for that game, too. That's something that we haven't even thought of. ROH toy lines, Alex. Now you can make Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, Brody Lee figures as ROH figures.
That's the whole shelf back here. Once they put out ROH like classic. Oh man,
gosh, there's so much to get into. We're gonna get back to this.
We will.
We are going to talk about this all night. I promise. Let's talk about the first match, which couldn't have been more appropriate. Bryan Danielson and Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels' first match in months. Christopher Daniels gave me some of the best wrestling advice I've ever heard. Because I was like, listen, man, I've only seen you botch like one thing ever. How do you do it? He said, I only do things in minute 2 that I can also do in minute 30, depending on my age. He had a great showing tonight. It was good to see him back. It was appropriate, Alex. And then afterwards, Bryan Danielson gave this speech about honor and Ring of Honor, and he said, but I'm not in Ring of Honor. And I just beat his ass.
Yeah.
The match, fantastic. What'd you think?
I really liked it. Is that a shoot? Chris Daniels' eye?
I believe so. He's got it everywhere. Interviews, BTE, everything.
That looks like what's underneath a pirate's eye patch. Like that. I mean, that's not like, Malachi Black putting on some makeup and being like, hey, that looks, yeah. I mean, that's amazing to me if he's actually got any sight in there that he's actually out there wrestling. I loved this match. I thought it was really cool.
It did a lot of fun stuff with Daniels, like 51 years old, as he points out. He does the Arabian press to the outside. Like,
amazing.
It was a lot of fun to watch the match. We all knew who was going to win. I did love that he did the world's most perfect moonsault, or whatever he calls it, right into the triangle. And, you know, he chokes out in the triangle, and that's the way that Bryan Danielson is now starting to win matches, doing that while flexing. And I loved his little thing. Like in Ring of Honor, we always start the match and then the match with a handshake. And he goes over, and Daniels is so out of it, he can barely lift his hand up off the mat to shake Danielson's hand. And that's what he says, but I'm not in Ring of Honor. I'm not honorable anymore, basically. And then he holds on to the hand, grabs the other one, and does the stomping thing. And then when he calls out Moxley afterwards, the promo that Moxley gave made me think we're not getting this team up that we thought we might be, which is very interesting to me. But I thought the fire from Moxley was great. Danielson being the skeevy heel and sliding out of the ring instead of fighting Moxley just to piss off the fans was great. This match is going to be great.
I think we are getting the team. I think that's like sort of the story, is that they beat the ever-loving shit out of each other. Mm-hmm. And then we do, like Bryan Danielson does, like what he just said he doesn't do. He shakes his hand, hugs him, something like that, and then we get that.
The one thing that I've noticed that is interesting to me is that originally Danielson brought up Wheeler Yuta, but he's never been mentioned again since then. He brought up Moriarty and Garcia and had matches against those two guys, but Wheeler Yuta's name hasn't been brought up since. I wonder if it was just because Moxley happened to have just beat Wheeler Yuta. If Wheeler Yuta is going to leave the Best Friends and go and join the Danielson and Moxley hypothetical thing, I would like for them to be like some more build up between Yuta and the Best Friends, if that's what's going to happen. Otherwise, I'm so into all of this. Like, there's so many implications coming out of Revolution. I can't wait to do the post show and talk about all of it.
We do have a couple super chats. Daniel says, been a long day. Mox should win Sunday, then beat Page at Double or Nothing. Thoughts? He's white hot. I want to see this Bryan Danielson team play out. I want to see that play out. That's how I feel. But he is white hot right now. Nerd Guru says that they beat the crap out of each other, so Bryan's backup plan is Claudio. Please, I need Bryan and Claudio as a team unhinged in AEW. To me, part of the appeal is that you wouldn't expect this out of Jon Moxley.
Right.
Like, this isn't a pairing that you don't imagine much of any pairing out of him. He and Kingston worked out well for that reason, but especially him coaching somebody.
Yeah. Like,
I'm ready for him to be like the Billy Bob Thornton of the 2005 Bad News Bears or whatever. Like, I want that out of him. Sorry, I didn't know who the hell was in the first one. Ryan Largent says, Bryan Danielson after. Code of Honor? No. Kicks of Honor.
Kicks of Honor.
And Volab says that Daniels mentioned in his interview with Chris Van Vliet that his vision is clear, but the blood still hasn't drained in his eye yet.
Since then? How long has that been? Like,
it's been a long time.
That's been a long time. I don't know if the blood's ever going to drain if it hasn't drained yet. Jeez.
We had the Casino Tag Team Battle Royale. I'm a sucker for Battle Royals. I'm a sucker for them. And they're never good, except these. These always seem like they're fun. Like, Brent Lockman says, shouldn't the Dark Order be immune to curses? Because we see Danhausen pop up. We see a lot of good moments, but there were a couple of moments that stood out. One, Max Caster say, you all are less popular than Glenn Jacobs' tweets. Woo! Boy, did Hangman hit him with a la ratio, as they say in France.
Yeah.
But holy cow. And a Euphoria reference, and then we have Excalibur mentioning HBO Max later on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's good stuff. Drew says, almost feels like the line about Euphoria and Excalibur mentioning that after is a sign. Rec spec. Tony Khan outright said, yeah, we probably do need a streaming deal today.
Yeah.
But the story of this match, Alex, was Darius Martin coming back.
Yeah.
Chris Rain says, great showing there. And he says, Top Flight is back. Can't wait to see them in a match against FTR. Now, I could definitely see the rust on Darius Martin.
Sure.
Like, some of the selling was off. Some of the punches didn't look
a little bit
great.
of the timing, they're waiting around for spots kind of stuff, but that's all going to come back.
First match in a year, whatever. I'm willing to let that slide. Willing to let it slide makes me sound pretentious. Not me, but I overlook that. He ain't been in the ring in a long time. But I mean, as young as he is, bringing him back, highlighting him like that is the right thing to do.
Yes.
I wish we could have seen the Lio Rush stuff play out.
Me too.
So badly.
That was the one thing I was looking at, is that there was just so it appeared to me like they were building this really great story of Darius Martin. Everybody wants to be Darius Martin on their team, all this kind of stuff. Is he team with Lio Rush? Is he going to go to Team Taz? All this stuff. But the guy who's always got his back is his brother. And I thought there was something there to do that story. I still think it's possible. I love seeing Darius Martin back, but just having him come back as Top Flight's back. Hey, Darius and him are like, that's great. But like there was something there of like Dante still trying to win matches as a singles guy, and Darius shows up and it's like, hey, little bro, I'm back. Let's tag together. And Dante's, well, I got this.
Yeah.
I got this TNT title match later. I'll catch up with you later. Like, no. I know you forgot about me while I was gone, but I didn't forget about you. And you could have just a one-time brother versus brother match where Darius maybe wins or whatever, but at the end they hug and they're brothers again before they ever tag together. And so this kind of took the wind out of those sails, but it's great to see him back. I think, again, he and Dante versus FTR versus Proud and Powerful versus the Best Friends versus Red Dragon versus FTR versus the Bucks, all that stuff. It's all there. And those are two guys who you could take over to ROH and they could be tag champs there for like 6 months where they're not going to be tag champs in AEW.
Man, this is how, and I've always been supportive of the WWE roster split and people say, oh, they need to combine them. Trust me, guys. I'll say this every time. I covered SmackDown in 2015. No, you do not want them to end the brand split. Yeah. But this is a brand split, possibly. Like you could go and it's a completely different company. It's what we thought was going to happen with WCW.
Yeah.
Nerd Guru says, Proud and Powerful got robbed, man. Also, why back with Jericho? I think there's going to be more with that. Yeah. But there were loud boos when Proud and Powerful got eliminated.
Yeah.
Very loud ones.
It was also feel like kind of cheap the way they were eliminated. I feel like there's got to be more story to this coming out of Revolution. I think there will be.
Volob says, Darius the Darewolf is back. Top Flight, baby. Brian says that I'd like to see Matt versus Jurassic Express and the other team. Just as before the match starts, Jeff comes out and wins the titles. I think the Hardy Boys should chase the titles this time. They should chase.
I don't know if that they ever need to win them, but it would be kind of cool to see them to have a run toward them. Yeah,
there are a good 2 years of feuds with the Hardy Boys.
Sure are.
And James Zimmerman says the tag team battle royal empty. Wrestling's fun again. We're in a new wrestling boom and don't even know it. These are the good times. Buddy, I see it. We had 6,000 of you wonderful people subscribing to Fightful Select. Please resubscribe. It's the beginning of the month.
We got damn near 3,000 watching live right now. So.
I know. Yeah. Well, that's just on YouTube too. So we've got well over that overall. These are our biggest numbers ever. And I love nights like this because everybody that says, oh, well, you want bad news to happen. No. We get more viewers when good stuff happens because you guys like wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, back to the ROH talk. Jukebox says, what are Linda's thoughts on Tony Khan buying the Ring of Honor?
Oh, I love the Row. It's a wonderful. I used to watch the Row all the time back when the CM Punk was there and the Samoan Joseph. I loved all of their matches. Of course, I was much younger back then and I was still married, but my husband loved to watch them as well. We used to watch them when we were in bed together. Oh, I spoke too much.
Oh, man. Sorry about that. I got an interesting text. And it's funny. I was like, these characters won't play with AEW. Then Tony Khan hires RJ City today. Good on him. Good for RJ City. Raul says, watching late, is ROH the NXT, SmackDown, or WCW of AEW? Also showcase Deanna and manifesting Cody as head booker. Cody as head booker of ROH, I think could be interesting. Is it the NXT, SmackDown, or WCW? I think it could be the NXT or WCW of it, perhaps. But we never saw the WCW under the WWE umbrella, really.
Right. Yeah.
Amir asked if we knew Dalton Castle's contract status. I heard all but like a few people were up now. Bako5 says, what are the chances TK uses ROH for another weekly TV show on Warner Media? Thinking of Ukraine, and thank you for raising some support for them. Well, it depends. I don't know what like Warner is interested in. Do they like want a Saturday afternoon show or something like that? What do you think personally? I don't have any insight on it.
I have no idea what they want. That's the thing, is that this could be anything. What, like, speculating about it, like if you are going to start your own streaming service, like for a while there,
Yes.
one of the big things about the network, the WWE network, that pulled people in was NXT was exclusive to the network. Like that would be a big selling point to somebody who was like, okay, we got the ROH thing. Everything that ROH does is going to be on the network. Like, because I mean, you'd have to spend a lot of money to get them to give up the 4 yearly pay-per-views. But like, but if ROH was running shows and special live events or whatever, you could do all of that on the network, which would get people to drive traffic over to there. Like that could be something really interesting.
And not only that, you know, maybe you're in an area of the world where you won't have that ability to subscribe to a streaming service.
True.
And you're like, how do I get around it? How can I subscribe to this streaming service not yet announced? It's region blocked in my area. Boom! Not with NordVPN.com/Fightful. You can subscribe to region blocked services by changing your virtual location with just one click with NordVPN.com/Fightful. Not only that, look at that deal. Oh, 1 additional month for free on top of that great deal. How about this? There's a UFC pay-per-view this weekend. They keep hiking up the prices. You know what you can do? You can get NordVPN.com/Fightful. I don't know, maybe use one of those international services where you don't have to pay nearly as much. And NordVPN pays for itself with all the money it's going to save you. It's the fastest VPN in the world. It protects you against that unsecured Wi-Fi that you're using when you travel. Not only that, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you don't like it, if you say, you know what, I like hackers, it don't bother me none. Maybe you're like, you know what, I like paying way more money. They'll give you your money back. NordVPN.com/Fightful. Fastest VPN in the world. You can use it on all your devices. You can subscribe to stuff like Netflix in much cheaper regions than what you got now. Avoid region blocking, price discrimination, and so much more with NordVPN.com/Fightful. Brendan says that AEW TV deal is going to be large. It's going to be a lot bigger than what they got now, Alex, because I'm an amateur here. I ain't no Brandon Thurston. Go listen to him. WrestleNomics is amazing. He's the best in the business. But as I look at WWE, they're probably going to get a rights fee increase, or at least at what they're getting now, for viewership that has declined since 2019. AEW's has stayed steady in a landscape where it's declining elsewhere. So that 40-something million they're getting, that's going to mean a lot more. That's going to mean a cash infusion for the roster, for a lot of people. And there's some competitive wages to attack there. But, oh, my God, the number of super chats that we have. Mark Losper says, consensual penis? There's a Blue Chew ad read coming, right? No, we wouldn't do that in relation to a Joey Ryan reference.
No.
Mark says, love you, Alex, but Kate is a better Vanna White. Well, Kate will be back this Friday with Alex on the post-SmackDown and Rampage show. And then talking
the post-live Rampage. Those are always fun. There's a lot of great stuff on that.
Techno says, because of Alex and his analogies, I've seen King Arthur 5 times in the last 2 weeks. Thanks a lot, Panda Jerk. I don't get the reference.
I don't know. I'm a Panda Jerk. It's true.
Cleo says, subscribe to Fightful Select. Thank you for the hours of content and objective journalism. Well, I'm glad you appreciate it. We had an update on Asuka this evening. We had an update on Flip Gordon and what his deal is there. And Josh Weaver says, finally found myself in a stable enough situation to subscribe to Select. Worth every penny. Hey, man, I'll never fault you for not subscribing to Fightful Select, but we'll definitely thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it so much. People are happy about my transition into Linda as well. James says, is this big as Kahn indicates it is? I'm excited, but a bit nervous. What's best and worst case scenario for this venture? Well, the worst case scenario, Alex, is that the library isn't utilized at all, and we get virtually nothing out of it. That would be worse than anything, everything. We've got an ROH invasion gimmick going right now in Impact. I don't know if you want to run that in AEW, but you could. You've definitely got enough talent to do an ROH stable there. This can be very, very, very big.
It can be huge.
From a library and future content perspective, it is the biggest deal they could have gotten, short of somehow acquiring WWE's tape library.
So true.
Yes.
The thing about it that makes it so so great is that the biggest thing that people still say, you can't sign everybody. You can't sign everybody. What are you going to do with them? There's not enough TV time. Well, if you have an ROH brand, you could put a whole bunch of people over there, let them work, let them get better if they're young, and give them like actual top TV time over there, provided you actually get to put them on TV or on a streaming service. Like that kind of a thing is you can have people who are like, there's no spot for you right now in AEW, but we're going to let you run with a top angle on ROH. And if it's people that we love to see in AEW over there, then we're going to go and subscribe to that streaming service if that's where we can find them.
I'm excited to see how this ends up. My hope is that we get a completely separate, buzzworthy promotion running side by side. More stuff for us to cover is good business for us.
Yes.
Tremaine says, Monday Night Honor, baby. Yeah, there we go. Ricardo says, Fightful Select worth my $5. Thank you all. You all are saying awful lot of nice stuff about Fightful Select. And that dirty Patreon took 800 of our subscribers when the month started. So show them who's boss and subscribe to Fightful Select. That one kid wrestling said, I've had a couple of rough days and this show helped a lot. What a show. Can't wait for Revolution. JB Pringle says, holy moly, that's what you call a go-home show. I forgot it was a go-home show because I was so into this. More ROH stuff. Brent says, ROH being in the hands of someone who actually loves and cares about wrestling feels very right. Great things ahead. Amir says, do you think Tony will let somebody like Gabe Sapolsky, Regal, or Joe run ROH for him? Buddy, those are a few people I'd be calling right now if I were Tony. As that one person mentioned, he loves wrestling. Call some more people that love wrestling.
Yeah.
I would love that. Audio Flesh says, AEW versus ROH bragging rights is going to be insane, or it's going to bang. Thoughts on New Japan's involvement with AEW and ROH going forward? Also, ROH has trios titles. Could be interesting. You could do something with that.
If the ROH already has trios titles, if you're going to have, you don't even need to create new trios titles.
Yeah.
That's where you run the trios division. And I feel like you don't have to assign people to one brand or the other. You could just have a trio go over there and compete for the tag division, the trios titles. If they win them, they're on ROH for a while. And then they can come back over to AEW.
I feel like AEW probably would like to establish their own. I mean, Tony seemed to indicate that to me today because, I mean, all due respect to Shane Taylor Promotions that I loved, Dalton Castle and the boys, I loved them. I loved the Bullet Club run. I thought the Kingdom run was good. SCU, even Hangman and the Bucks. Those were oft-forgotten titles. Oft-forgotten. Adam says, AEW has been fire for weeks. ROH is all elite. This business is wild. Keep up the great work. Best $5 a month I spent. Sam Darnell says, having trouble resubbing to Fightful Select, so I'll continue this way. Can AEW use Honor Club? I'm working to find that out. And if you have trouble resubbing, I know that's a Patreon thing. Just keep trying. Hit up Patreon support. They will get you squared away. As far as Honor Club, I'm still working to find that out. Grayman Media says, SRS, how many former ROH talent are going to re-sign after Tony's announcement? How is it that ROH didn't respond? Rick Abani was the only one to comment. Riccaboni's like the only one under a deal right now.
Yeah.
I had reported months and months ago that his deal wasn't up until March 31st. So he's still an employee there. Poor Sledge missed the date by like 48 hours. Oh man. But no, there are still people that work there but don't have contracts. So I mean, like I'm sure there's a lot of former people there excited, but I looked at that roster, Alex, when things were coming up, and I'm like, I think maybe 10% get signed by somebody else.
Yeah.
And what I've always said was, if you're a Sinclair broadcast, you look at that and you go, do we even need these people under exclusive contracts? Because we could book them anyway.
Yep. Agreed.
Jambeard says, now that Tony owns both, can he make All In an annual super card show between ROH, AEW, and even New Japan? He could have done that anyway. He had the rights to All In.
Yeah.
But I think that sounds like a great idea. I think All In is as the super show, as this is what started it all.
Yeah.
Oh boy. If we got 4 pay-per-views now, we should get another one. Even if they stop doing All Out and just rename it All In, you gotta go with the original, Alex.
Yeah. I agree. I think that there's definitely something to that, especially now that the rumor is that WWE is trying to run a top thing on the All Out weekend. You know what I mean? Trying to like say, well, we're going to siphon some audience away. Well, it's going to be harder to siphon it away from if we're doing like a super duper card.
We have a lot of questions about FTR and Briscoes. Does this mean we'll get that finally? Says Speed Punk. Brian says, will it now be an AEW Hall of Fame when we get Briscoes versus FTR and Hardys? Mark Losper says Dax's Twitter account is the best. He just retired because they didn't win the Battle Royal. So a lot of questions about Briscoe and FTR. Again, I'm working on it. There was a lot more to that. A lot more to that than meets the eye. As far as an ROH Hall of Fame, I think it should be like a hybrid ROH AEW Hall of Fame.
Sure.
Grayman says that's 28 teams in AEW before including potential ROH roster. That's enough for an all-elite tag team tournament. Yeah. What say you, SRS? Should they? Yes, they should do tournaments for everything.
When one tournament ends, start a new one with different people in it.
I love it. Give me more shit that matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give me more shit that matters. Irene says, does AEW drop to Elevation and Dark and have ROH become their NXT? They have that show as original content on HBO Max. There are rumors that it will be a developmental area, but we'll see. I'll work to find out more on that as best I can. There's a lot of fantasy booking. Lake Locke wants Gresham and Danielson in a Pure Rules match. I'm sure Danielson wants that too.
Yeah.
Ian Hunter says Punk and Joe, both at the ROH Hall of Fame, rekindle the feud. That'd be awful nice. I'm going to ask you in totality about these fantasy bookings.
Sure.
Taylor Berger says Regal would be a great GM, authority figure. Tremaine says, hopefully this leads to Gresham on national TV. There's an audience that stopped watching ROH and don't know him. Daniel wants Danhausen to jump between both companies. JW Pringle wants a brand war, AEW versus ROH, 12 to 18 months with great matches and storytelling. Tunes wants Gresham and Danielson. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
He says the show ruled tonight. So much good stuff. So there's so much of this. There's so much fantasy booking associated with this. Abaddon and Max the Impaler as a tag team.
That could be fun.
It could be fun. Of those, Danielson Gresham seems to be a high one.
Yeah.
Regal, people want him as a GM.
Yeah.
Danhausen's fun. You want Danhausen on your show because he's entertaining.
Yeah.
There are a lot of possibilities. Now, again, it's important to note, nobody in ROH has a deal.
Nope.
So it's a whole new thing.
Yeah. Basically, they've been given ROH when all that goes with it as an idea, as an entity, but none of the people are really there anymore. It's their blank canvas to put things in, and that's interesting to me too. The Danhausen thing could be a lot of fun if like we establish that he can go under the ring in one brand and come out of the ring in the other brand, and it's like he travels in a portal under the ring. Like I think that could be a lot of fun. Like he could bring something with him from one thing to the other.
there's a lot of cool stuff you could do if you're not willing to take, if you don't want to take everything too seriously with that guy in particular. And speaking of taking things seriously, Gresham versus Danielson, absolutely in a best of 3. Let's get it done.
Slayman Sammy Joe says, I love wrestling. Can't wait for Mox versus Buddy. Oh, that's going to be a banger for sure.
Yeah.
Rem says, at work, watching this on a delay, one thing to note is that Moxley did not see Brian help him last week. All he saw was Brian behind him with the chair. That is an interesting approach.
That's interesting.
Some good news. Christian Cage is wrestling this Friday against Ethan Page in a qualifier. We also have Sammy, Darby, and Andrade. We had that Darby Allin promo. But to me, Christian wrestling, well, for all intents and purposes, for the first real time since like Full Gear, he wrestled a 10-man tag. It got to the point last week, Alex, where I started to hit people up and say, what's going on? I was fearing the worst.
Yeah, me too.
And people were insistent. He's fine.
I kind of hope Ethan wins it because I'm a big fan of Ethan, but I suspect Christian will, just to have the old guy in there who has a lot of experience in ladder matches from 20 years ago. You know, obviously more recent than that too, but that's where we know him from. But I think it's kind of cool to see him back. I was kind of worried about it as well. So that's cool. This Darby and Andrade and Sammy Guevara thing, the triple threat on Friday live, 2 days before whatever happens in that title match on Friday, they're still doing that trios thing that they're doing on Sunday. I honestly could see any one of those 3 guys winning that TNT title live on a big show right before the pay-per-view, and you could build some angle in there that is going to like get people to want to see that trios match on the pay-per-view. So there's a lot of really cool stuff they can do there as well.
JW Pringle says, mental health moment. I've heard a few people say they've had some bad days, but the show picked them up. If you're feeling out of sorts, please seek out help. Everyone needs someone to talk to. You're loved and worthy, and we need you here with us. Guys, we go out of our way, even on Select. Some of you have seen this. If somebody is a toxic asshole, a piece of shit, I tell them to hit the bricks. I don't need their $5. Right. We are a welcoming community. We are one that will support people that if they're having trouble, feel welcome to use our community tabs, to use our message boards, our comment boards, anything like that. Connect with these people that will support you and prop you up because we care about each other. Big thank you to JW Pringle for always sending these. We greatly appreciate you for doing that. Also, Nami Communicate on Twitter is a great resource for that as well. Valab says AHFO dies for the new Los Faction Ingobernables stable. Yeah, but I would just try to get LIJ if you're rocking with New Japan now too. If Angelina is still with ROH versus Baker or Thunder Rosa, I don't see her being like a top free agent pickup for them. I don't think that's going to be one that necessarily is sought out. Nick says, Wyndham working and doing his thing on a Tony-owned ROH? Yes, please. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody says, SRS stopped tweeting during the show. No, I got 200 retweets on that. Eat my ass. Thank you for the super chat. Jambeard says, if the ladder match has an unnamed 7th person, I say let it be Gresham. I say let it be a guy called Swerve the Realist.
Yeah, that would be interesting too.
Jordan Scott says, haven't been this excited since, well, the last big AEW announcement. With how crazy wrestling has been of late, AEW could do a 30 tag team Royal Rumble with how many teams they'll have now. I wish they would. Do it then.
Do it.
Absolutely. Give it to me.
Yeah, sure.
Give me a special, a 2-hour special. That's a one Rumble.
Let's do it.
JJ Lee says, it's WWE brain, but I always felt AEW needed something to make each pay-per-view stand apart. Making All Out, All In again, and making a versus show would do that. I don't think they need to go the gimmick pay-per-view route. I don't mind that WWE does it. I wish they would schedule them differently. Having Elimination Chamber right before WrestleMania is weird to me. But I don't mind WWE doing it either. Like I like having something like that attached to each show.
Yeah.
We do have to cover more of the actual show.
It's true. We're still in the middle of the first match.
Yes. No, we got through another one. But William Leahy says a ton of respect to JW Pringle for his mental health PSA. And his feud with Paul Elizabeth is like Bonner Griffin on the Fightful chat. Very clever. We have Revolution predictions from Miguel, who says willing to bet Hangman will retain the belt against Cole. Omega returns. Miro beats up Page, creates a new feud with Hangman, destroys Dark Order, faces him at Double or Nothing for the belt. That would be nice. I would like to see Miro doing anything at this point. Yeah. But yes, I think Omega needs to return, feud with Cole, do those trios titles. We're off to the races. Jericho's backstage.
Yeah.
He is full heel.
Yeah.
Full heel here, and he brought back GFY. And you know what? I like it because he's a heel.
Yeah, because he's a heel. It's a stupid thing to say with the baby face, and it's a perfectly thing to get heat with if you're a heel. It's great. It's perfect.
It's great. Then Proud and Powerful come up. They fist bump him. I don't think that lasts, Alex.
No, I agree. There was a way to do it that it doesn't make it look like we're gonna do a swerve, which is what it feels like to me. But I'm very much looking forward to them coming down during his match with Eddie Kingston and him thinking they're be there to help him, and they turn on him. I'm very looking forward to that. Please can we do that as the thing on Sunday?
I thought Jericho did exceptionally in this promo too. Made me dislike him. I thought that he did really, really good here. Tom LaValle says, I know Alex is pissed that Proud and Powerful will cool with Jericho, but they're the faces. It'll be Jericho that turns on them. Maybe even Sunday. It'll be fine. I am much more likely to let it play out with AEW.
Yes.
That's for sure.
True.
I am Malucha says, how does this work for Proud and Powerful? They were jobbed out 2 weeks in a row for the titles. How does going back to Jericho make sense? Well, I mean, this is getting thrown over the top rope. I think that's way, way different than getting pinned. Anybody can get thrown over the top rope.
Yeah, and I don't know if we actually covered this. The Young Bucks won this match, the Battle Royal, the Casino Battle Royal.
Oh, yeah.
So they won that match. It was down to the two of them and Darius Martin. Darius Martin, I think, got kicked off the thing by Matt Jackson.
We're an hour into our show.
We finished the first match. But so I think it was they were always going to give us Young Bucks, Red Dragon, that combustibility in a triple threat match with the champs, Jungle Express. They were never going to give us Proud and Powerful. We wanted them to throw in a red herring, allow them to do that. Proud and Powerful, I have to believe, are going to get their moment. I do not think either Red Dragon or the Young Bucks win this match on Sunday because they start something where they're fighting each other in a non-title feud for a while, and then you can have Proud and Powerful pick up some victories and actually win the titles from Jungle Express. I think there's a way to do that.
And then afterwards, we have a bunch of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, Red Dragon, Young Bucks interact. Red Dragon tried to play it cool. I like that as well. The Jericho line I liked, he mentions a promo, and as Brent says, think Eddie Kingston knows what a promo is. I like this Jericho.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't exactly the same, but it was funny. It was funny. And Zach Heyman says, can we talk about how healthy Jericho looks compared to last year, 2020? Mm-hmm. He is in incredible shape now. Good for him. Good for him. 12 Loose Leaves says, just read JW Pringle's super chat again. Support each other. TheCalmZone.net and NAMI.org. Indeed, if you have mental health issues, any number of people in our community are there for you.
Yeah.
Again, NAMI Communicate is a great resource that I've used myself. Please check it out. Mark Losper says the best thing about this ROH purchase is there's more titles for Keith Lee to win. And there's footage of Keith Lee in ROH too. Yeah. And he says, before Samoa Joe chokes him out. Well, I love Ricky Starks talking that shit to Keith Lee. And I love Will Hobbs just giving him that eye. I just love that, Alex. This is what we need more of.
They've given me so many options here going into this ladder match to win this Face of the Revolution. With Keith Lee and Ricky and Will, all of them in the match, you'd think they would all cancel each other out, but you never know. Like Keith Lee, I would think would be one of the favorites, but then he's got this thing with Ricky and Will aren't going to let him win. Like that could be it. And then later, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, they have this amazing thing which brings back up the thing with Wardlow winning it. Like I love that they've done the work and put in the storytelling
to make me think that any one of 4 or 5 guys could win this ladder match. That's great stuff.
I have a hilarious DM to read about the Wardlow thing because I liked it, but I almost busted out laughing on the air when I got it. And we're going to speed forward to that.
We will.
Ricardo says, although I'm down for Keith Lee, I'm also ready for Swerve the Realist to make a splash. What does Linder think?
Well, I love the Swerve. I mean, he was the Swerve Strickland, and then he was the Swerve Scott, and now I believe he's Swerve the Realist. But there's a 3 in there, so it's a sweet 3 over the. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but I do love him very much. I'm very upset he's not going to have the Ain't Nobody. I'm a big fan of the Chaka Khan. I think she's a wonderful super lady, and she does some really great toe tapping songs.
Chris Reigns, Kneecap Missiles, and Sapp they all point out there's no Shane. Shane's not coming line.
Yep.
That was a good touch. I mean, and to me, that's playful, harmless fun. Like, don't ignore history.
Yeah.
Hungry Hippo says, with all the talent they've acquired, should they have seasons and cycle stars? Seasons will not happen in pro wrestling at the top level.
Yeah.
But cycling stars, they do that. They do that now.
They do.
So, yeah, and he says would be a great way to keep everyone on TV, keep matchups fresh and wrestlers healthy. They do. Yeah. People get paternity leave and maternity leave and stuff like that. Mark says, I'm stuck being the most boring meeting on earth. So here's a super chat. So I can type something and look like I'm doing something on my second screen. And Kylie says, a fun-ass Dynamite, fantastic way to end my birthday. No, let's have a drink. Cheers to Fightful. Kylie, happy birthday. Thank you so much. Hope you had a good one. Thanks for spending it with us. But lots of praise for this show overall. Graham says, what in the F and F was this show? 11 out of 10. If another Dynamite tops this one in 2022, I'll explode. I think they got some good stuff on the way.
They really do, yeah.
Robert says, AEW helped get me through the first stages of the pandemic, signing my faves from the indies. Hope to meet some of you all in Orlando. I'll be around. I will definitely be around. Denise will be around. Will from Grapsity, I believe, is around as well. But yeah, of course he will be. And Reg, they're performing at the AEW show.
Yeah.
Matthew S. says, with the show tonight, I'm so happy. Incomprehensible booking on that women's match. But otherwise, wow. MJF Punk, wow. Can't beat that daily place crowd. Let's talk about that women's match. I was not a fan of this match in general. From the start, the strikes looked weird. You could tell there was some uncooperation. There was some no-selling. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa are a couple of my favorite workers. But, like she's getting, like, Thunder Rosa's getting beat up, then just reverses the heat. It gets thrown on Jamie Hayter. This was a bit of an awkwardly performed match, and it feels like things didn't all go the way they were laid out. I felt like they weren't laying stuff in like I would expect out of Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. And it was like the spot where there was the no selling, then the flip off. It didn't work for me. Also, there's Britt getting pinned. I don't like that either. I don't like the champ getting pinned. Like, Jamie Hayter's right there. Pinner.
Yeah, I don't like the champ getting pinned either because of to me, the implications of, like, in the other place, when the champ gets pinned going into the pay-per-view, the champ wins at the pay-per-view. Almost all the time, whoever looks good on the go home gets pinned on the pay-per-view. That doesn't necessarily happen in AEW. But AEW does like to tell really long stories.
Yes.
And I would not put it past them to have Thunder Rosa versus Britt in a match with no stipulation. Still has not been announced stipulation for that match, which we all thought was weird. So if Thunder Rosa gets attacked during the match and loses via chicanery from interference, they could build to the double or nothing thing and take 2 more months to get back to it. And do Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker in a steel cage on the 1-year anniversary of Britt originally becoming champion. They might want to tell that really long story. And to me, it's like, no, this is Thunder Rosa's time. You don't need to wait. It's time. Put the belt on her. Listen to that pop every time she comes out. It's Rosa's time. Don't wait for it. And the finish tonight makes me think they're going to unnecessarily drag this thing out.
Chris Rain says, surprised to see Thunder Rosa got the pin on Britt. Kaysen says, don't understand pinning Britt now. Mark says, Alex and I disagree on whether Britt getting pinned means Rosa is going to win the title at the pay-per-view. I think Rosa is going to win. Tell Alex he's wrong.
I think she should. But they've put doubt in my mind for the first time with this. Maybe that's why they did it. Maybe they know we're smart enough to think, does this mean that Rosa's going to lose?
Is St. Patrick's Day Slam in San Antonio?
I don't know. I don't know when that is.
Because I know they're doing San Antonio soon.
They might do that. They might do the big thing in the St. Patrick's Day Slam, the 1 year anniversary. They might do that. You're right.
In Thunder Rosa's hometown.
In Thunder Rosa's hometown.
The only reason San Antonio is any good. Man. Chris Rains, I'm trying to find the, oh, there we go. Chris says, can we finally get a Britt versus Deonna match? They wish, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we had a couple more women's segments. The Ty Conti and Jade Cargill promo. Oh my God, I love it. Because if you ever listen to this show, you know how much I hate karate. It sucks. And here's the funny thing. Alex Marvez is like, you've got a black belt in judo, a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. Blue belt is like a couple years in level. Like that's a couple years full-time training in. But Jade Cargill goes, nobody cares about that karate shit. I gotta say, I know a lot of people think judo chop and they hear jiu-jitsu and they think traditional Asian martial arts.
Right.
These are perhaps the two martial arts most unlike karate besides pro wrestling. Jiu-jitsu is pure like submission grappling. Judo is a lot of throws, clinch work, all that stuff. I love that. Raphael says, YouTube won't let me type it out, but I need Alex to reenact Jade's line to start her promo on Ty. That killed me. A legit jiu-jitsu player, Raphael, by the way.
I know. I loved it. And I just love Ty's reaction to just being interrupted. Of course they're here. Of course they're here. Nobody cares about that karate shit. That was so good. So good.
Brendan says, San Antonio rules, lies, go Spurs, go. You have a river walk and that's it.
It is there, by the way. On Wednesday, March 16th, the show is in San Antonio.
All right.
I think you're right. I think that's what they're going to do.
Chris Statlander, Laila Hirsch promo. Layla's the baby face here. And Chris is like, you're going to see a side of me you haven't seen. But this felt an awful lot like the beginning of a Maury Povich segment. Yeah, I said that she was adopted, and I meant that shit. That was how that was.
I think they realized that Chris went too far with the whole, like, you know, I understand why your parents abandoned you, and they switched it around because now she's like, no, you said that. Like, how dare you say that to me? Now I'm coming for your ass, but not in the way of like I'm the heel, which she has been up until now.
Yeah.
Now that one remark from Statlander makes her the heel, and I think they're leaning into it at least with this particular back and forth pre-tape.
I'm just ready for the Maury Povich black and white. I called that bitch an orphan, and I meant every word. I'm ready for it. We got Hook versus QT for Revolution as well. Serena Deeb on Rampage. Chris says that Layla was the one that made sense in that promo. I agree. Tremaine says, SRS, you versus me in San Antonio. Loser stays in San Antonio. Buddy, ain't no chance I go back there. Nerd Guru says, the TBS match being on the main card maybe means Athena debuts. Though now fully being behind Jade, I don't want her to lose. I think Jade's holding that title for a long time, buddy.
And I feel like we should give them the benefit of the doubt and not be surprised. The TBS title on a bona fide star like Jade Cargill is on the main pay-per-view card. Like, they're doing right by it, and we shouldn't be surprised by that. That's a good thing for them to do.
Jambeard says, would you like to see a Face of the Revolution style women's ladder match to set up a TBS title match? Yeah.
Yes. Hell yes, I would.
I would absolutely love that. I would love it. Reese Rose says, AEW helped me get through suicidal times. Tony Khan saved my life. Great time to be a fan. Think Cody will be president of ROH. We're glad that literally anything helped you get through that, my friend. Whatever it is that you find joy in. When I was feeling like really depressed, there were some things I did, like I moved my office to a brighter room that I knew I would get more sunlight in. I started to familiarize myself with things that I liked but had to give up for whatever reason. Started to collect figures, started to watch shows that I knew that I liked but never finished. There's a lot of different ways. We're glad that you found yours. James says Hook is going to slaughter QT and it'll be glorious. QT is very good at that, at being the guy that you want to watch get the shit beat out of him. Yeah. And for better or for worse, boy, that's a good way to keep work.
Yeah.
Ryan says 3 women's matches on the pay-per-view and pre-show. Good job, TK. That makes me very happy to see. He also says new ROH as HBO Max exclusive could be interesting. I don't know if that will be the selling point necessarily, but I would love for AEW and ROH to have their own section in HBO Max like WWE does.
Yeah.
Pro Wrestling Podcast says, at least you have an office. I'll have a new one in a month.
Yeah.
Very excited for that. Nerd Guru says, an absolute banger streak they've been on every week is amazing. TK is wrestling Santa, but Christmas is 52 times a year. Pro wrestling is alive and well. I like hearing stuff like that instead of thanks for watching so we didn't have to. Sean says, I can't wait to be at Revolution. Incredible card. Couldn't be more hyped for all things AEW right now. Hope to run into you at the show. Sean, would love to shake your hand. And thank you for all the great work you do. Give me a good fist bump. That's what I appreciate. And I hope I see you there. I'll be around. Wherever they put us in the media section is where I'll be. And I look forward to seeing tons of you. Brendan says, AEW brings so much joy. It brings us together. I love it. More ROH talk. Pro Wrestling Podcast says, I'm late to the party, but the fact that All In could be streamed eventually makes me eventually happy. I think the whole show is uploaded already, but AEW owns it now, and that's nice. Yeah. Do I think a streaming deal is still in the works? Yes, absolutely. Based on the way that Tony Khan spoke today, it seemed like it. Aaron says, Honor lives. Does this mean we get ROH on TV? Sour Graps rules. I don't know, but ROH has been on TV before the last few months. In fact, a lot of people didn't realize this. You could go to Ring of Honor's website and just watch the show every single week. That was the benefit of them being owned by a broadcast company, Alex. That broadcast company said, hey, we don't give a shit. After a week, just throw it up there with the weird knee brace ads that Jay Lethal is like, kick out. Like, put the Joe Namath ads on there and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's been on there.
Yeah.
Dante says, me or Tony bought or ROH. This is a big deal. Twitter, whatever. Who cares? This isn't important. Never let people think that something is not important if you think is important. Somebody will always think that anything is mediocre.
Listen, if when Tony made that announcement, your timeline was full of people saying, whatever, who cares? This isn't important. You're following the wrong people. I'm just letting you know, because they're gonna bring down everything that you like if you like this stuff.
MJ Johnson says, SRS, will your background be like wood like Alex's? That was funny. Like me trying. I am getting shiplap putting as my background. Embassy says, TK is the only owner I like. Hold the line, MLB PA. Hoping that gets resolved. Shotkid says, while a public apology would have been nice between recent hires and 3 women's matches at Rev, great to see Swole's criticisms didn't fall on deaf ears. I don't think that he feels like he needs to apologize. And there you go. And Emily Cease for the Ruckus says the show was also free on Fight. They made it very available to watch.
They did.
Brendan says, can't say I'll miss the Car Shield commercials. Peter Avalon always stepping through that forbidden door to every company, for sure. You know what it probably took a lot of to buy Ring of Honor, Alex?
What?
A lot of green.
Yeah.
But sometimes people don't have enough of it. They don't get enough of it. They think they've got plenty, but they don't. But athleticgreens.com/Fightful is going to make it work. And now you get a free year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs along with your purchase. One scoop of AG1 has 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients, including a multivitamin, multi-mineral, probiotic, green superfood blend, and more in one convenient daily serving. The strength and conditioning coach for our catch wrestling team would constantly say, drink your multivitamin. Don't eat a multivitamin pill or a gummy. They don't absorb well. They'll pass right through you. You will not get the nutrients that you're looking for there. But this special blend of high-quality, bioavailable ingredients in a scoop of AG1 work together to fill those nutritional gaps in your diet, gives you energy, focus, aids with gut health and digestion, and supports a healthy immune system. Supporting a healthy immune system in this environment is integral, not just for yourself, but for others. You can replace a bunch of pills and products with one healthy drink. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, adaptogens, antioxidants, superfood complexes, digestive enzymes, mushroom complexes, all at athleticgreens.com/Fightful. I've seen multiple AEW wrestlers tweet about using this. Goes a long way. I've been loving how much of you hit me up and ask me how it is, ask me how I feel taking it. I love it. It's the first thing I drink when I wake up. I go downstairs, get my little shaker bottle, put 8 ounces in, put a pouch in, drink it down, and I'm good to go. athleticgreens.com/Fightful. Love Athletic Greens. Ryan says, Tony Khan, now that I own ROH, y'all will do the dream match now, right? Briscoes and FTR simultaneously. Sure, as long as they lose first. We'll see how that ends up. Brian says, I wonder if Tony gets the ROH Hall of Fame and fight shows for ROH and AEW now. This will be a fascinating period to pay attention to. Absolutely. Absolutely. Chris says that Tony is showing us that honor is still real. Michael Jensen says, with the way that ROH handled their talent all through the pandemic, I'm happy to see them rewarded for it. It's a win-win for both promotions. They did treat their talent incredibly well. They were very safe. So, little backstage news. I did an interview with Beer City Bruiser and Brian Malonis right before the announcement. And I'm going to release it on Fightful Select, right before the announcement of the hiatus, rather. I've got dental surgery in a couple weeks, so I'm going to put it on Fightful Select as an exclusive interview. They approved it. They said, yeah, okay. I thought it would be in bad taste to do it right after ROH is like, hey, we're firing everybody. They talk about how wonderful ROH treated them during the pandemic. And Beer City Bruiser was a guy who passed up talks with WWE when they were talent hoarding. So I think that's going to be an interesting conversation for you guys to listen to on Fightful Select in a few weeks. Alan says, all right, gang, it seems like there's plenty of work for everyone now. For Tony Khan's naysayers about bloating the roster, what say you? We got to see it in execution, Alex. It's one thing for us to fantasy book it. We were fantasy booking an awful lot of stuff about WCW that never happened.
Yeah, we sure were. Yeah, we have to see it in practice. But I don't know. I feel like I have confidence that that's probably what they're trying to do. I mean, that is the biggest naysaying thing about it, is that they have a bloated roster. They don't have enough TV time for everybody. They can't sign everybody. Well, you know, now you have this opportunity to put some people over there that might not be getting the TV time. I think that's the plan. I have to believe that they are, because we see that that's a problem. I feel like they see that's a problem as well.
Peyton says, great go-home show for Revolution. AEW is on a different level right now. With the ROH acquisition, they're going to keep getting better. Danielson versus Gresham win. It is important to note that Jonathan Gresham's ROH contract was up days after Final Battle. They sent him his release papers early, actually. His deal was through the end of the year. Hopefully it happens soon. The puzzle pieces started to make an awful lot of sense to me when Jonathan Gresham last week was in Bridgeport, Connecticut at AEW and wasn't on the show the night before he needed to be in Atlanta for his own show, Terminus. To me, that was a little too sus.
Yep.
Speaking of sus, MJF was sus. This was fun. Oh boy, the foreshadowing of the white, wearing all the white.
Man.
And CM Punk was like, I think MJF was being genuine. Alex, I would like for you to cover this. You're way more eloquent at this than I am, but there was some foreshadowing, and it ended with MJF dropping a line on CM Punk from his ROH days. What a touch. And CM Punk bleeding everywhere.
CM Punk comes out and cuts am I the bad guy? Like the idea of that, because I've been a bad guy in my life. Am I the bad guy now? And I feel like there's the only thing I can do. I want to say anything to him. I want to do something for him. So I would need MJF to come out, and MJF comes out with no music. Again, he comes out. He's wearing the all white suit, and he tells him he goes on a litany of all the horrible things he's done as a heel, which the way he says it with such gravitas. We're remember when he threw the urn full of Paul Bearer's ashes at the Undertaker, and it was done as kind of this weird, the heel comedy spot almost. But he had I took the ashes of a legend's beloved manager and threw them in his face. The way he added so much gravitas to the stuff he had done when he was younger. And I know what this is. That hatred isn't going to get you anywhere. And he offered a handshake, and MJF gave him a hug, and Punk hugged him back, and then MJF kicks him in the balls. And then he drops him with the heat seeker. And then Wardlow saunters out.
The old Shawn Michaels Jericho, by the way.
Yes.
Of the protege,
yes.
Or not the protege, but the idol and the person that idolized.
Yeah. And then Wardlow saunters out, kind of doesn't even want to be there. All he does in this whole thing, it should be noted, is just puts the ring on MJF's hand. He doesn't participate in the beatdown at all. But then Punk gets busted open by the ring, and then thrown to the outside where he's hung up by the dog collar. And MJF does you stupid old man, I'm a snake. The biggest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. I am the devil. Well, he's just covered in Punk's own blood, and Punk is just gushing blood down his face onto his white t-shirt.
I mean, that was the CM Punk line.
That was the CM Punk line.
He said that in ROH.
Yeah.
Poetic.
The best part about it is that when CM Punk said it, he was just retelling the old fable of the snake that couldn't be trusted. So he's just saying, "You stupid old man, I'm a snake." But when MJF says it, the stupid old man is Punk. That's great. But what's best about this thing for me is that none of what happened tonight, though it might seem like it does, none of it belies or contradicts anything that happened last week. MJF was broken up by Punk leaving. He did swear vengeance on Punk, but nothing. And also, all that stuff happened to him when he was a kid. All of the core of the statement he made in that amazing promo last week remains true. It's just Punk giving him a hug isn't going to make things all hunky-dory. He still hates Punk. The hatred flows through him. There's nothing you can do to make him turn to the light side. He is a Sith Lord. There's nothing you can do to bring him back. And this is the story that we get going in there. None of what he said last week is false, but there's no way you can actually turn it around to make it into a good person. He, as Punk said, people who got hurt other people. Everything, it's so perfectly crafted, and this dog collar match on Sunday is going to be an absolute bloodbath. Because you don't do this on the free TV if you're going to undersell the stuff on the pay-per-view.
Yeah. Oh, tons of super chats about this. I loved it. Darby and Sting made the save. Sting looking like a disappointed dad. Chris says, wasn't sure how they were going to go on with Punk and MJF, but that was so well done. This feud has been everything we've ever wanted it to be. It's been incredible. They've done an incredible job. They've carried, there was one off promo of this whole thing. And then MJF said, well, that's not going to happen again.
No.
And just he's like, you know what? I'm going to give you my 104 mile an hour Aroldis Chapman fastballs every time now. We're not going to mess with the secondary pitches anymore. Great stuff. John Larkin says the segment was fantastic. MJF is not a human. He's a demon spawn. I loved every second of this and the show as a whole. Love your select review, Alex. Well worth the $5. We appreciate that, and we always want to give you your money's worth. We never want you to say, man, I wish I wouldn't have spent that measly $5. We try to give you as much shit as we possibly can over there. And if there's somebody who knows about as much shit as possible, it's Alex.
That is true.
Andrew says, preach, Alex. Palpatine would have loved MJF. And David Church says he's the best thing in wrestling, in his opinion. Still very early in AEW's existence. With moves like ROH, do you think AEW could overtake WWE someday? Sure. I think so. Maybe not from like a rights fees perspective anytime soon. But, I mean, I think there are a lot of ways that they can overtake WWE. Brent says far too much white clothing for that segment to end any other way. Yep. So I was watching that with my wife, and I was kind of explaining to her, like, yep, that's a signal. That's a tell. And it's one of those that they do on purpose, but like with a yellow shirt, it would have worked, but you know what they wanted to do.
Yep.
Sawyer says, hurt people. What a line. He says, I know that hatred, it'll not only keep you warm, it'll burn you up. Yeah. Punk had bars tonight. This is the promo stuff I want to see. This is the stuff I like, not, well, gee, I think we could be something more than friends. What do you think? Yeah. Nah, I don't know.
Have you seen the picture of Punk being led out of the arena by Sting? No. And Punk it's just a picture taken by a fan. Punk's face is just covered in his own blood, and he's got the biggest shit-eating grin on his face. He is so happy to be doing this stuff, and he's also going to murder MJF on Sunday.
Pro Wrestling Podcast said the hug leading to the kick in the balls reminded me of my last family reunion. Was that WrestleMania 19 by chance?
Yeah.
Ryan Largent says everybody expecting Punk to just do Bret Hart matches, but he's out here running back Disney Pixar's The Incredibles with MJF as Trome and him as Mr. Incredible. That is a fantastic super chat. C says, I will not understand people who watch WWE willingly when something like MJF and Punk is on AEW. Fun fact, what MJF said to Punk is what CM Punk said to the ROH crowd when he won his first title at ROH. Oh, I know. That's one of the things that drew me in. As far as people watching WWE, it's subjective entertainment. Everybody can like what they want. There are some people that swear by it and love it. We've got Brian Medina saying, or actually we got a different stuff on the MJF thing. We've got, that was a part of it. Brian says, could you see MJF versus Gresham, Wardlow, Spears, and FTR beating him up, and MJF winning the ROH title? Yes, I could possibly see that.
They could make anything work if they actually put the effort into it.
LaLucha says, man, I told you all last week, MJF Punk turn was a double turn. My head's spinning, and I can't wait for Sunday. Does he beat Punk Sunday? I think Punk wins.
Yeah, I think Punk wins.
They're very good at keeping people strong and then being like, all right, well, you're up for the title, and putting them in the right spot. Like, I love that. Kate says, it's both my fellas. Love for Team Salex. Very clever. As usual.
Yeah.
Nerd Guru says, you stupid old man, I'm a snake. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he doesn't exist. Full circle, art, perfection. Yeah. Not only that, but with AEW and ROH being full circle, ROH financed a lot of that.
This is the thing, is that depending on how much they want to do, that I could absolutely see them cutting together that promo from Punk and this promo from MJF, so they kind of overlap and interweave in the little promo video they play before the pay-per-view match. Like, they could do some really fun stuff.
And to be clear, ROH financed All In, not AEW, but the precursor, one of the precursors. Nerd Guru says August 13th, 2005, Punk leaves ROH. August 2021, he returns and debuts in AEW. Now Tony Khan buys Ring of Honor. Full circle. I can't wait to see how that ends up.
Yeah.
Brian says, can you see MJF as the new champion and MJF saying he's better than your Hangman? Yeah, of course.
Sure.
I think that he could be a champion within a month if they wanted him to be. Like, that's how well they have booked him. But absolutely. Reminder, guys, get in your super chats, get in your humper chats. We're hanging around as long as it takes. Alex will get bonus pay for this show. Alex getting double pay. Luis getting double pay. Everybody getting double pay here tonight because you guys are hanging around and showing us so much love. Alex has 2 shows at least a week on FightfulSelect.com. I'm posting exclusive news there. So if you don't subscribe, you should subscribe. But we got Wardlow beating that ass. Now, I love it when AEW is like, no. Let's not do skinny jobber. Let's get Cesar Bononi in here. And he's not getting any offense. He's getting powerbombed a couple times and beaten. That, I think that looks great. Yeah. They had him lose to Hangman Page once too. I think that looks way better when they do that, Alex.
Yeah. Well, I was a big fan of the Wardlow versus Komoroto match on Rampage. I love that they're giving Wardlow big beefy dudes as warm-up matches for his contest with Lee and Hobbs in the ladder match. Just hitting him with a couple power bombs, pinning him, and that's it. But I loved Spears getting in to do his little chair shot, and Wardlow grabs the chair, and Spears turns on him, and they get face to face, and Spears like immediately goes, "Well, I probably don't want to be part of this," and he just walks away. That was really, really good.
But
stuff.
Then he tattled.
Yes, he did.
He tattled to MJF, and MJF is like, "Listen, I'll let you keep the belt if you win it, but you're under contract to me," and yells at him.
Oh,
now,
but Wardlow's things, like, hey guy, but it was like, you probably won't even win it. You probably won't even win it anyway, says MJF. And then Wardlow says, "That's because I'm too busy making sure you win." Yeah. And then MJF comes back and slaps Wardlow across the face. You can't tell me they're not building to this thing where Wardlow wins, but then MJF says, "You know what? I may have said what I said, but I lied. It's still in the contract. That's my belt now." And then you get this amazing thing with MJF and Wardlow.
A very valid criticism was sent to me via a very respected pro wrestler, and I almost laughed out loud on the air. He says, "So Wardlow is supposed to be so stupid that he thinks Tony wouldn't sign him if MJF fired him? Tony signs fucking everyone. This is stupid." It's right. He's not wrong.
Well, I don't think Wardlow is that stupid, because I think Wardlow knows. I think Wardlow knows. I think we're supposed to be that stupid. I think Wardlow already has talked to Tony, and as soon as MJF fires him on the air, Tony's going to come out with a contract that MJF signs right there and says, "Your first match is against MJF, and it starts right now." There's a really great way to get a giant response from the crowd if you do that.
Wardlow, we'll hire you. You got a job. You got a standing offer right here.
Yeah. You will not be on the street.
We'll make sure. It's so funny. The person that I just mentioned said he'll be out on the street. That is verbatim what he said as a follow-up. Yep. He'll be out on the street.
Yep.
Flowman says, "Keep donating, guys. Double pay to everyone." To quote my hero, Bully McGuire, I think you mean Billy, "I'll take the staff job. Double the money." Jeremy says, "Couldn't stop thinking I owed extra money for Sean making my cameo, the one with French in it, in less than 24 hours. So here it is for Fightful. Really enjoy your work. Hope everybody's doing well." Yeah, guys, please pick up cameos. I am loving doing those, and it goes 100% to a good cause. I might do a different cause every month because that seems to be doing really, really well. And as much help as we can provide, I want to do, and I love doing those. So please go to Cameo and look me up. What do we have next? I've lost my notes. Here we go. Oh, well, I Am a Lucha says MJF is going to die when Wardlow gets to him. Yeah, he is. Riga says, "What if Wardlow wins the match and the title? Max goes back on his word, ends his contract when Wardlow refuses to give it up." It's revealed that he holds the belt. He has a temporary contract by default, and it becomes Max's mission to have him lose it out of spite. Well, then you would make Tony Khan look like an inept businessman, because why wouldn't you want Wardlow on your roster?
Right. No, he immediately would sign him. Like, and that's the big move because Tony Khan in kayfabe is a babyface authority figure. Everyone loves Wardlow. The moment where we realize Wardlow's going to get his hands on MJF and get vengeance for everything is a massive, massive pop for the fans. Like, you could easily plot it out in any which way, but that's going to happen, and it's going to be awesome.
Luis brings up a good point. He says, I don't think Wardlow has a Wardlow is all elite graphic. He is on the roster, though. Right. But Sawyer does say the same thing. Do we know if he got that all elite Twitter graphic? If not, that would be incredible commitment to the bit. That's a nice shout. He should be like not on the roster, though, as well. Malachi Black, House of Black promo. Devin Allen says, Malachi got me feeling all kinds of ways after the house always wins. And his voice is so low, it looked like a movie. And the hot, evil smile. Everybody got to talk here. I thought everybody did great. How'd you feel?
I loved this.
Shocking.
So great. No, come on. The Malachi by himself, and he gives a third of the promo and leaves it hanging. And then he it was like blah 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 blah. Violence. Violence is the last word of Malachi's sentence, which is said by Brody King. And when he says violence, then he gives a definition of the word violence, and he leaves it hanging. And the last word of his sentence is judgment, which Buddy says, and then he gives a definition of the word judgment, and then they walk away. The house always wins. Like, that was so beautifully done. Listen, the lore, I don't know if it needs the lore, but just the vibe these guys put out is so friggin' cool. It's dark as fuck. It's so much fun. Just this one act, I don't need the whole thing and everybody dipping everything else, but this one act, it adds a really cool dark spice to the whole roster, and I love it.
Yeah, I dug this as well. Simple, effective, in character for them. They're all very good at this. And Malachi Black, you're starting to see, oh yeah, this is what he could have done in WWE. Andrew says, Wardlow showing some spine, Spears trying to be invisible. I'm so ready for Wardlow to be the biggest babyface in AEW. It's coming. It is coming. Eric says, does this mean that AEW now owns All In pay-per-view and the name? They own the footage now. They always owned the name. That was a trademark owned by AEW. Brian Medina says, could see Supercard of Honor. Omega comes out, wins the title, and Cody comes out to start the show. I think anything's possible. Tremaine says, why not Gresham and Swerve? I would love seeing Gresham and Swerve. I would absolutely love that. But the praise for Andrade, Derek Gordon says, it seems like Andrade wins the three-way. Wardlow wins the ladder match. MJF screws Wardlow, helping his associate Andrade. They had a very loose business association, though. Like, that was a one-time deal type of thing.
But I love that if that's the way they want to go, if Andrade wins on Friday and he's the one who has the match versus Wardlow, they could call that back real quick on commentary.
He pays MJF.
Yeah, there you go.
He pays MJF where MJF had paid or he had rented stuff from him before. Right. He'd rented FTR from him before. Yeah. Andy Slamberg said, very excited for Wardlow to powerbomb MJF through the Earth's crust. MJF is so effective in his role. I think a lot of Wardlow's blow-off matches should be absolute dominating crush squash matches. Like, it should be, I feel like to a degree, it should be what Sting versus Hogan 97 should have been. Sting should have beat the absolute shit out of him for 7 minutes and go home. Yeah. That's all. Nobody wanted to see Hogan firing up. We don't need that.
Nobody wanted
Shot
to see
Kids
that.
saying, seeing the House of Black promo trying to manifest Ali doing his new America promos in AEW. Just imagine. Ali would be a fantastic fit in the House of Black. He would be great at that, and nobody talks about that.
I think the thing of it is if he ever got signed by AEW, I think they'd be smart enough to realize what a natural, amazing babyface he would be. And he wouldn't have to figure out fun ways of being a heel. He would just be an amazing babyface.
Yep, you're right. Chris says, love the House of Black promo. Love Alex talking about it. Love Team Salex. Well, Andy Slamberg says, it's my birthday too. Happy birthday, Andy. He's a big Andrade fan. Think he wears gold in 2022? Seems like a no-brainer to put the TNT title on him to me. Yeah, I do at some point. I think he's going to have a string of absolutely batshit insane matches, and they're going to put a title on him at some point.
He might wear the gold as soon as Friday. Honestly, I don't know what their plans are coming out of this, but Sammy Guevara is still just a best bout machine type of guy. There's no real overarching storyline with him being the champion. They could put the belt on Andrade on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. Miguel says, if the triple threat match is for the TNT title instead of on the pay-per-view, instead of Rampage, I'd have a hard time choosing which match I want to take a piss or shit break during the show. But since that's not the case, I've made my decision. So I'm glad they're adding big matches to the Rampage, the live Rampage before, because let me tell you, I went to the Rampage before Full Gear, and that made me decide to not go to any more live Rampage shows before Full Gear. I didn't need to come into town 2 days or any time early for that at all. We are going to wrap up this show with more ROH talk, just so you all know, but I want to say that I appreciate everybody calling out Denise Salcedo for being a shill, paid Tony Khan payroll shill. She will be at Supercard of Honor. Legitimately, congratulations. I heard about this a while back. I'm so happy for Denise. She deserves all the good things. But Jambeard says, Hollywood, no honor. Denise is now all elite. Nate says, how will this affect Supercard of Honor? Congrats on Denise being all elite. How long before Gresham Danielson? I would do Gresham Danielson on April 1st is what I would do. Supercard of Honor, I would do that night is what I would do.
Sure. Why not?
Yes. Nico says, excited about the ROH deal because it's another place for me and my brother Matt to become stars once our wrestling careers take off. He's down training south. I'm training up north. But someday we'll unite, become world tag champs. Hey, best of luck to you. Hope I'm interviewing you one day. And Antoine says, here's to my favorite show, Dynamite, my favorite Fightful. Well, we love it. This is our most successful show. I think it's our most super chatted weekly show we've ever done. There's two of us. I thought that because there were two of us, we get the show done in an hour.
Not with all this stuff we're talking about.
It's amazing. Main event, Dark Order, Undisputed Era. I ain't calling him Paragon. No. Chris says, amazing ending to an amazing show. So hyped for Revolution. This happened the way it should. I'm glad we're finally seeing Dark Order integration into Hangman. Should have happened sooner. There should be more depth to it. I'm starting to fall back into my own ways, ignoring the people that support me, and then they go, no, we got your back. You're good, bro. You're all right. And then Alex Reynolds takes a knee to the dome, loses the match to Adam Cole, as you should. Common sense booking, good match, makes all the sense in the world, Alex Pawlowski.
Absolutely. With Reynolds in the match, I was like, well, that guy's getting pinned.
Yes.
And then when Hangman's in there and Alex Reynolds pulls himself up onto the apron by the turnbuckles, by the tag rope, and Adam Page gets thrown into the turnbuckles and hits the blind tag. I'm like, well, this should be over in about 15 seconds. And it was. But that's fine. That's the way you book that. But I did love Adam Page fighting off everybody after the match, and he was going to go for the buckshot on Adam Cole, but Bobby Fish kicks his ankles out from underneath him on the apron, which I thought was really clever. And then the most dastardly heel thing to happen all night, even worse than what MJF did to Punk. They duct taped Adam Page to the ring ropes, and they got duct tape around his forearm hair. Like, ripping that off is going to hurt so bad. You just don't do that to people. You just don't do that. The duct tape, that would hurt. So I thought that this was great because they didn't attack Adam Page, even though he was tied to the ropes. They beat up his friends in front of him. And I was like, well, wait a minute. What happened to Evil Uno and Stu Grayson and 10 and 5 Allen Angels? Did those guys leave the arena after their match 2 hours ago? Shouldn't they come out and help their brothers? But it was fine. I liked this thing a lot.
This was outstanding stuff. I'm so excited for the pay-per-view. Andrew says, do you think Silver will get a singles run? Eventually, yes, he will, in one of the two companies. He is such a talent.
Yeah.
Dominic said, what if Claudio helps Cole and is a part of Paragon? I think you got to go the trios run with him right now. I think there's enough history with other people for Claudio. Mm-hmm. Claudio's got to get signed.
Oh, yeah.
With ROH there now, got to get signed.
100%.
Gotta.
Yeah.
Ryan Dawson says, if Cole wins the title, I'll be watching a lot less AEW. Beyond tired of his heel run in NXT before he lost the title, past the initial excitement of his debut and back being tired of his character. Hey, I appreciate the Humper chat. I just disagree. I've really been enjoying it. I don't think he's winning it, but you guys can see me make my predictions with Maggie of Rob and Maggie coexisting with Rob and Maggie on Friday. So make sure you guys tune into that. It's brought to you by Wrestle Rumble. Go over there and make your predictions on this weekend show. But I'll be here Friday to make those predictions. And man, that's going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm very excited to do a show with Maggie. Check out all the other great stuff at Fightful Overbooked, by the way, guys. It is basically the ESPN, the Ocho to our Fightful, which I love. I think they're doing great stuff over there. Nerd Guru says, predictions for the Vince McMahon, Pat McAfee interview. So somebody in WWE heard me say, I hope it's not a work. I hope it's not a worked interview. So on Fightful Select today, I got a bit of information from that person. They said, listen, they might promote something, but from what I've heard, it's a real interview. Alex, that is fascinating for me for many reasons because they don't let him answer questions on the quarterly calls anymore.
No. I mean, listen, I'll believe that little tidbit from that person when I see the interview because I feel like Pat McAfee's like, what's he going to ask him? That's not like the most softball-y type stuff until you get to the questions that are supposed to actually get the feud started.
I got to say, Pat McAfee does not give a fuck. He truly does. WWE needs him a lot more than he needs WWE. If he wanted to, he could go play for the Packers like now.
Yeah,
like
that is true. Yeah.
Yes, like he does not.
Like he could just
WWE.
live off what he's making from his podcast for the rest of his life. He doesn't need this job. But I do feel like they had the whole Austin Theory thing on Raw where he was like, "What if I was there and I helped you when he attacks you?" It's like it's not that kind of interview, and then Vince leaves, and then Austin Theory holding a pencil says, "What if it was that kind of interview, though?" So like. Is Austin Theory going to try and make it into that kind of interview? That's why I feel like we're thinking it's going to be Vince versus Pat McAfee. It's probably going to wind up being Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory.
Sure.
Basically.
Luis says it's our most super chatted weekly show since the Raw on my birthday and CM Punk's debut. That is pretty good company right there. Thank you guys so much. We're heading down the home stretch. Get in your super chats and your humper chats. And you know what? If you want to answer or get more questions answered, FightfulSelect.com. At some point this week, I'm doing a live Q&A. And Joel Pearl will be hosting a special Q&A with Jimmy Van, the owner, founder of Fightful. He's promoted wrestling. He's done all kinds of stuff. He's got a lot of business acumen. The week that I'm out getting my dental surgery, he'll be filling in and doing a Q&A show. We've got so much stuff. You will not regret it. Will not regret it. Mark Losper says, now that Tony owns ROH, they can take on the real behemoth and control your narrative. Also, yikes. No comment. Tremaine says, in college, when coming back to my apartment after classes, we had TV in congregation areas and ROH would be on one of them. It confused me. I've never seen ROH on TV out in the wild. Can't say that I've seen that. Yeah. Zach Schimmel says, I feel like TK buying ROH makes the landscape change a little more, as I feel like a lot more ROH and AEW crossovers are going to happen. Love Fightful. We love you, Zach. I greatly appreciate it. I just don't know who ROH has. I assume Flip Gordon and Jonathan Gresham because they were around, Alex. But what are you expecting?
Honestly, I don't know. If it winds up being more of an NXT to AEW's quote-unquote main roster, then there's a lot of stuff you could do with that as well. I just love the idea of guys shuttling back and forth. Like when people aren't going to be involved in the top stuff on AEW, they can go over and have a top program on ROH, and especially if I keep thinking about this, if it's tied to a streaming service and you put the ROH type of content over there, the new content, then people will be driven over there to watch that stuff. If their favorite, like if, let's say Andrade isn't in a top program on AEW, but you love watching Andrade and he's in the top program on ROH, and you can get the streaming service, you go over there and you watch that stuff because you can follow your favorites over there. And it means that their roster will never be bloated because they can just do things on both shows. It will be really, really interesting to me.
Still plenty of super chats. Some stupid punk says, SRS, I told you today that if the surprise was TK bought ROH, I'd start a prediction podcast. You said I should, so how do I do this? Do I work for Fightful right away or what? Do I move to the Midwest first? Time to watch Dynamite. For all of your, hey, I want a podcast inquiries, reach out to Joel Pearl and Jeremy Lambert. They're the one. We've got a full feed on Select and the main site, overbooked. I've got a couple of inquiries that I need to pass along to them, but bug Joel. Jordan says, haven't been this. Well, we read that one. Dick the Cock Johnson says, I love AEW so much. They make me excited for wrestling as if I were a child again on a consistent basis. Also great to hear more eyes will be ROH on, and it's past now. The early years are up there with the 90s All Japan, in my opinion. Dick that cock. Thank you, Dick the Cock, for that sentiment. I greatly appreciate that. Alan Marks sent in a great super chat. He sent in a bunch, so I'm going to read them together. He says, ROH streaming could follow the Anthem business model and use the YouTube platform for streaming like Impact. It lowers the cost of the startup. I want to approach that because I don't know what Impact's business model is. They are not turning a profit on doing YouTube. They weren't on Twitch. It's not on ticket sales. They run on a network that they own, in which the commercials are usually shit like Sammy Hagar concerts that also air on that network. So I don't know what their business model is. We've got Alan also saying, I think ROH should focus more on the pure style of wrestling. Let everyone take a turn learning and growing. There are enough production and support teams to improve and increase the TV project. Just need more outlets. How do you feel about that? Like, I think that you still, I mean, ROH had plenty of stuff that wasn't about that. That wasn't about pure wrestling. Right.
I mean, I feel like you could do a pure division or something in ROH.
Yeah.
Like if you could have Gresham take that pure division style to AEW for a while and then have him head it up in the ROH thing for what, you could do stuff with that if Gresham's going to be a part of this. There's some really cool stuff you could do where it's not like the whole brand is the pure thing. Like, you could do a section of that. The way that you could have done, if you actually wanted to make the cruiserweight division work on Raw, you could have actually given those guys really great amount of time at the top of the second hour, and everybody tunes in to watch that. You could actually section off your broadcast where everyone knows if they like the pure stuff, they know when to tune in every week. You could do stuff like that.
And I love still all the questions we got here about this. Nerd Guru says, hypothetically, could Fox watch AEW and offer them a primetime slot on their network, even with WWE, or no? I would say no, considering the fact that WWE shot down an MLW deal and there's ongoing litigation regarding that. So I'm going to say no. I think that would be an explicit conflict of interest there. Dan says, people were wondering if AEW was going to have a second show. Now they do. Should be fun to see who goes where. But finally, in AEW, honor is real. Son of a bitch. Pauly Shore's cousin Johnny says, I predicted Tony buying ROH on the Wrestle Lost podcast last weekend. Going to see Revolution in a dine-in theater on Sunday. Can't wait. It's going to that sounds like a blast. That sounds like a lot of fun. One day, I'm considering not going to Vegas, actually. I might go watch AEW in a theater. I think that would be a lot of fun. Alan says, whatever happened to rock hard Eric Shins? Asking for a friend. He got a little too soft for this business.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. He's got to stiffen up a little bit. Ian Malucha says, let me tell you, I was at the MSG show, and what made me so hopeful for a real alternative to WWE, well, here we are. I just hope Tony has the foresight to hire others and help him create. Wow. There was so much about that show at the time that disappointed me because, like, you didn't have the Elite there, obviously. At the time, I was like, Marty Scurll didn't win the title. In retrospect, that was a fantastic decision for Matt Taven to win the title.
That's true. There
was the Enzo Cass thing that was wild as well. Patches Redacted says, if Tony Khan bought the ROH library to set up an AEW streaming service in the U.S., seems like a waste of money. I've been using the Fight AEW Plus package for over a year, thanks to NordVPN.com/Fightful. Tony should have just got his own promo code. Very clever. Very clever. I was about to say, what the hell are you talking about? This is a good investment. Well, depending on the amount of money that's being spent. I got people throwing $20 million at me. I'm seeing people reporting 30 to 40. I have heard all in between that as offers, but I think it's probably people close to the situation indicated 20 to me today. I had a person who used to be very high up in ROH that indicated 20 to me. I had somebody connected with somebody really, really high up at 20. But here's the thing, Alex. Sinclair Broadcast Group is a publicly traded company, so we're probably going to find out exactly how much it was.
Yep.
Because they got to disclose that shit, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. We got Rangers Mayhem saying, have Gresham show up with his faction and go up against the Brian Mox heel group. I think they would need to retool that, add some star power to it.
Sure.
I think that'd be great. Jordan Scott says, last chat from me. Love you guys at Fightful, but real question. If there is an ROH show, how do you feel about a 5-day AEW week, basically Monday through Friday? Not great. Not great.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is that the dark and elevation days are also, to me, at least for me personally, big time WWE days I've got to cover. So I don't watch as much dark and elevation. If they're like, hey, let's throw the new ROH thing on Thursdays, and it's going to be a big thing with top talent on it, and I got to watch that too. That's my one night a week that I don't have to do anything. And now I got to do that too. I mean, it'll be great, but I don't have any more nights off.
We got a bunch of fantasy booking stuff. Is there a possibility they bring Shane in to run ROH? About a 2% chance.
Yeah, probably not.
Will Danhausen finally get his blimp now? I think he got his blimp when he signed with AEW. Maybe he can pop up with Tommy Rich. Anything's possible. Brian says, SRS, ROH, AEW Hall of Fame at Double or Nothing, Briscoes, Danielson, Joe. I can imagine the battles. I think they'll integrate it in together. Mark Losper says, we've said Claudio a lot without saying Eddie freaking Kingston. Yeah. Oh, Eddie will make sure that match happens.
Yeah, it'll happen.
Nikolai says, if they use it as developmental, does ROH replace Dark? Maybe one of the shows. Maybe instead of Dark and Elevation, it replaces one of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, where would they possibly run this show? Gee, they got Universal. They got Daly's Place. Mm-hmm. They got a lot of places they can just run this.
Yep.
Man. Oh, yeah. I think they need to keep it far away from Sam's Town Live. That is the deadest-assed venue I've ever seen. There's a lot of things they got to change about ROH. ROH spent so much money on those video screens that's all you saw. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't know if there were 30 or 3,000 people there.
Yep.
Jordan Scott says, do you think they include the ROH belts in the AEW feuds, even though Denise hates that idea? They should use some of them on there. Some of them, especially the ROH World title. Can you guys give some? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the idea, the belts make matches more important. They give stakes. Like, you don't need to have 15 belts, but like if somebody's got a belt and they're going to have somebody, if feud with somebody, it should be over that title. I mean, why not?
Shot Kid says, can you guys give some rec spec about Supercard of Honor? Feel like a streaming deal is in the very near future for AEW. I do too. I'm going to say Deonna Purrazzo against somebody from AEW.
Yes.
Probably a protected woman from AEW. Britt or Rosa. I know a lot of people say Serena Deeb. I mean, don't got to do much research to find out why that might not be all hunky-dory. But
right.
Briscoes at FTR would make sense there. I had heard some stuff to indicate that maybe that wouldn't happen at all for a while. But this changes a lot of stuff. Anything that you're looking at?
I mean, just the idea that, like, well, I mean, you have to capitalize. Like, that's like a month from now, like less than. So, like, it's a month from now. So the idea of that you can have like this whole thing of like Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor, AEW and Ring of Honor, the sister companies at this point. You gotta have a lot of really cool dream matches of ROH talent versus top AEW talent. If you can figure out a way to do it, you gotta do it, because that's gonna lead to a lot more pay-per-view buys.
Mcafee says, bless you both for spending 2 hours on this, man. I knew it was going to be a big show. I had no idea how big. Thank you guys so much. We still got a few to go. Jambeard says, depending on what they're doing with ROH, do you think they might merge some titles together between the two shows' companies? Maybe, but it depends on if ROH will be a standalone brand.
Yeah.
If they've got enough talent to run two promotions. They really do. And using free agents. We've got 10 Rosa saying, I am so interested to see what New Japan and Impact do with this. Interested to see where GCW, PWG, NWA sit in all this. Super show, please. I don't know who they could need from NWA to do a super show. Nick Aldis definitely would be a good one. Camille. They ain't putting fucking Tyrus on a super show.
Lockhart, like people seem to think
I don't think he's signed to like an exclusive deal.
Well, there you go. So then it could be anything.
PWG doesn't have anybody signed exclusively. Nick Gage is signed exclusively, and that's probably somebody that they would want to throw on a big all-encompassing super show. Impact will get along with anybody. They love working with other people. Nerd Guru says if they use this to do some kind of invasion angle, or even just as the AEW versus NXT, I think Joe should lead it. So much history and feuds to have. Oh, there's a wealth of ROH-related names that are just still out there. You got Joe and Claudio right off the top of your head. You got Chris Hero right off the top of your head. I mean, my God, I don't know exactly who all is signed to Impact yet, but Jonathan Gresham is out there still. Dalton Castle hasn't signed anywhere. Christopher Daniels is on your roster and didn't do anything for a very long time. Jay Lethal, you signed him and barely used him. Like, there's a lot of stuff. Davey Richards signed with MLWC. Can't quite pick him up and use him. But my God, there's a lot of homicides out there. There's plenty of people. Plenty of people. Mark Losper says doing All In without Cody would be sad. Sure, to some degree, but life goes on. There were a lot of people that thought doing WrestleMania without Hulk Hogan was sad, and it's doing just fine. Andrew says that he loves your shirt, Alex. We have some Cody super chats. Jordan says if he doesn't come back and lead the ROH side in an angle, do you see Joe coming back to do it and against the Danielson group after what he said? Alex, do you see this as a possibility? I do. I think that Joe should probably get a pretty high-profile job somewhere.
Yeah, man, Joe definitely needs a high-profile. He's got it. Like there's just, even if he's just there cutting promos and talking, like he's so good on the mic and will be forever. So yeah, I'm looking forward to wherever it happens with that.
Dick Lecoq Johnson, thank you, Robert. We appreciate that. Tin Ruza says, I want there to be a 2-day super duper show with New Japan, Impact, ROH, AEW, and Stardom. The AEW game is going to hump. I think there should be. I think they should do a 2-day super show with all those companies.
Sure.
Absolutely. Integrate NWA too if you want. Give Nick Aldis a match on there. Work in Matt Cardona. Just book Matt Cardona, and you got like half of those companies settled anyway.
Yeah.
We got a few more super chats, and we're going to wrap up, guys. So if you want them in, go ahead. Get them in. Mike Preventure says, Evil Uno got cursed. BTE will show him and his friends accidentally getting locked in the clubhouse. That darn Danhausen. That's I'm just loving how simple the Danhausen stuff is. They got to switch it up soon, though, I think. Nerd Guru says, according to the AW YouTube upload, they're calling Fish and O'Reilly the Undisputed Originals. I wonder if that's the official name. That's a hell of a lot better than Paragon.
Yeah.
You can go with Undisputed anything. I like that. Orlando says Tony buys ROH. Trios titles coming to AEW. Possibly a future for HBO Max. Paying $15 for a premium live event. JK LOL. Might not be much of a JK LOL, buddy.
Yeah.
Ricardo says, who would have thought Tony Khan would have bought ROH and Cody would be gone from the deal? I figured Tony would make him head booker. What gives? Anything is possible. Anything is possible in wrestling.
Yeah.
Until Cody signs on the dotted line in WWE, it ain't over till it's over.
That's true.
Modern Duke says it makes sense for Cody to go to ROH if it became AEW developmental, considering the Nightmare Factory is the big pipeline for young AEW talent. That Baltimore AEW show coming up will be very interesting, going to ROH's home arena. I would love like 97 WWF in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
You got Gresham and the Briscoes front row.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love it. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love it.
Yeah.
Persephone says, how do you feel about Josh Alexander winning the Owen? That would be a neat trick. I'll say that much.
It would. It would.
And Mike Provencher wraps us up with a good super chat. Big thank you. He says, MJF loses. Wardlow wins the title on Dynamite. MJF takes the title, fires Wardlow, invokes a 90-day non-compete with AEW. So he goes to ROH so he can come back and take the title to pay-per-view. I've heard far worse ideas than him invoking a 90-day non-compete. That is...
I do kind of like that.
That's good shit.
Especially though
goes
to ROH and just MJF watching film of him powerbombing dudes forever every week. Like, oh my God, look at him. We got to make sure he can't come back kind of stuff. There's some fun stuff there.
Oh, that is brilliant. Guys, thank you all so much. Oh man, this has been the longest two-person show I've done in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Please leave a thumbs up on this video. We had over 3,000 of you here. I would love to get over 1,000 thumbs up. It would mean so much.
Please.
It also means so much if you guys subscribe to Fightful Select. Please subscribe to that. We had a bunch of drop-offs at the beginning of the month. We're going to get those back. We're ready to give you guys more exclusive content. I posted like 4 stories today. We're posting stuff every single day. Alex has shows every day. Pick up a cameo from me as well. All of it goes to charitable contributions, 100% of it. Also, interview with DDP this week. Dropped an interview with Rohit Raju this week. Got a prediction show with Maggie this weekend. Alex, you'll be back here for the post-revolution show. I'll be doing the live scrum.
Yeah, I'm going to do with Kate, the wonderful Kate. I'll be doing the post SmackDown and live Rampage on Friday. On Sunday, we'll be doing the post Revolution show. And because I'm doing a post SmackDown show on the regular YouTube, there is no sour graps this weekend. Except now there is. On Saturday, me and Kate are going to review the first episodes of the Corey and Carmella Have Sex show, whatever the hell they call it. It's going to be a bloodbath, even worse than whatever's going to happen with Moxley and Danielson and MJF and Punk. It's going to be terrible. Tune in on Fightful Select on Saturday. That should be a lot of fun.
Guys, thank you all so much. My God, this has been overwhelming. Subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. Also, they reviewed it on Overbooked You Monster. Hey, competition within, brand split.
Right. That's right.
Until next time, guys, we're out.